NetGalley November, Nonfiction November. How did it go? Welcome to my November wrap-up. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week and then movie reviews here at the weekend. In the description box below you will find my blog and my Goodreads, where I have reviewed a couple of these titles already so far. So I was trying to read non-fiction books in the month of November. I was also trying to read NetGalley books in the month of November, and then I had one November release that I was very excited about reading, and I have already reviewed it here on this channel, so I will mention it briefly and then direct you to this video right here where I do a full event vlog and review. So this is The Christmas Wish by Lindsey Kelk. I've also shown this in a recent book haul, and I have a full review, as I say, which will be linked up above, and I'll also link it in the description box and in the end screen for you. Fantastic new rom-com from Lindsey Kelk. Loving this. Would make an excellent Christmas gift if you haven't finished your Christmas shopping already. But as I say, I will leave you in the capable hands of past me, telling you about why that was an excellent read. The other physical book that I read this month was These Are the Words by Nikita Gill, this is the shiny proof copy, but I had a NetGalley audiobook review copy of this one. So technically I also read this on audiobook, but I had the physical book here and I read the physical book and I tabbed the physical book up as we went along. So, you know, on Googling microaggressions, loved that poem. Then we had, you know, poems for when you want to protest. And then we have a shout out. So I've tabbed up various poems on there. This was her first YA collection. I think I definitely prefer her adult stuff. And I do read YA, as you know, if you've been following the channel for a while. But I think I prefer her adult stuff to her YA stuff. So that's what we read in terms of NetGalley. That was my first NetGalley title. And then on to audiobooks. So I did have one audiobook review copy that counted towards NetGalley, which was on my TBR for a little while. This is why I have to scroll back so far to find the picture. Where is the picture? I've definitely shown it to you very recently. Come on, here it is. Right, so we had A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. Ooh, really weird lighting on this one. There you go. That's a bit better. Oh, much better. There you go. We'll have me out of the picture and you being able to see this one. So this was adult romance. I wasn't sure if it was YA to begin with because obviously Julie Murphy's written YA and middle grade as well. And this one is set around a Hallmark style Christmas movie. So we have these two main characters who go to film this Hallmark style Christmas movie in this Christmas town that's all set up for the movie. And one of our main characters is a former adult film star, and one of our main characters is a former teen boy band heartthrob. Both of them have a little bit of not a checkered past, but a checkered reputation. Yes, they have a merry little meet cute. And I really enjoyed this one. However, I did listen to it on my commute and then sort of carry on listening while I was getting stuff ready in my classroom first thing in the morning, and have to turn it off a couple of times because it gets very steamy. I enjoyed those steamy sex scenes. It was a very sex positive book. It was also a very body positive book, and it was also a very bi positive book. So there's really good bi representation in this one from both our main characters, which I absolutely loved. So I really did enjoy this one. If you're up for some Christmas movie themed hot sex scenes that are sex positive, bi positive, body positive, then absolutely read this one. Also, they drank some really interesting sounding coffees in this one, and I appreciated that attention to detail too. So I really did enjoy that one, and I'm kind of glad that I waited for it to be almost like the Christmas season to be reading this one. So I was decorating things and wrapping things and buying things and getting out my Christmas clothes and what have you. And so I'm quite glad that I didn't read it the previous 2 months when I said that I was going to read it. And then I listened to I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. And this one, ooh, this was intense. Again, we're not doing so well. There you go. Have some better white balance. Hey. This one, obviously, everyone has been talking about this one. And Yeah, it was intense. There was a lot here. There was a lot about addiction, and there was a lot about sort of not really addiction, but a lot of, I read so many books about addiction this month. There was a lot about food addiction and like disordered eating, and then about illness and about like unhealthy relationships. So I don't know, people had been talking about it. I thought it was going to be funny and light-hearted, and it just was way more intense than I was hoping it would be, but not necessarily in a bad way, just an unexpected kind of way. And so yeah, I'm glad I've read it, and I'm glad I read it during Nonfiction November. The audiobook was narrated by her, and so that was great too. And then I did listen to, now November, it was weird because I didn't realise quite how long some of the books I ended up reading for nonfiction side of Nonfiction NetGalley November. And including this one. So this one I thought was sort of edited or written or narrated in some way by Emma Thompson, but it just had the foreword by Emma Thompson, and that is not read by Emma Thompson. So the audiobook of this one does not feature Emma Thompson, but this is Madly Deeply, the Alan Rickman Diaries. We're doing not too bad with the white balance on this one. And so this is his diaries. Now, it's not often I say this, but I think that this book would work better as a Kindle book or as a physical book. I don't think it worked as well as an audiobook. So you do have different narrators narrating this one, none of whom obviously are Alan Rickman because he's dead, and none of whom apparently are Emma Thompson either, as I thought might happen. But because it's in diary form, it's sometimes quite difficult to follow. It's interesting hearing his instant thoughts on things as they happen. So like his instant thoughts on the Dunblane shooting and his instant thoughts on 9/11 and things like that. And then, you know, him getting a second Die Hard movie and getting like the Sense and Sensibility role and the Harry Potter roles. And like that side of it is definitely interesting. But I think because the format is that diary format, it does make it slightly hard to follow. And so I did enjoy reading this one, and I did enjoy listening to it, and I'm glad I read it. And it was, you know, one of my most anticipated books as soon as I found out it was coming out. However, I think it might work better as either a physical book or as a ebook, because then you could kind of flick through the diaries and it would be clearer as to what was happening, as opposed to like him reading like Lunch with Ian V, blah, 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 blah. And it's written in that sort of chatty way as well, and so that's where it was just slightly harder to follow in that sense. And it was a 21-hour audiobook. Now, me trying to kind of like get to some of my non-fiction books that I've saved for November, 21-hour audiobook isn't exactly conducive to that. But I decided to do another 21-hour audiobook as well. Now, I'd had a little hold on this for the library for a little while, and it just came through for Nonfiction November, and I think that that's great. However, it then meant that I was reading another 21-hour audiobook. This is The Big Bang Theory, the definitive inside story of the epic hit series. Now, this is a little bit like something else I've read where they have voice actors kind of playing the voices of the actors who were on the show. So you have someone that sounds a bit like Jim Parsons and a bit like Johnny Galecki, voicing the parts that are, you know, written and read by them. And it says in the book that they conducted a lot of this over Zoom, and so that was interesting. But it really made me want to watch The Big Bang Theory. I really enjoyed it. However, it's really quite long. Again, I don't know what the physical copy of this one looks like because I only saw the audiobook copy of it. But maybe if it's got pictures in and it's got interviews back and forth a little bit, it might be a little bit quicker of a read as a physical book than an audiobook. However, if you are a fan of The Big Bang Theory, then this non-fiction book about The Big Bang Theory will definitely be for you. However, it will make you want to rewatch the entire series. And then I'm flicking through and like TikToks keep coming up of The Big Bang Theory because my phone knows that I've been listening to a book about The Big Bang Theory. So that was interesting. But yeah, a long one. And then another really intense one that actually was about addiction, because apparently I'm just getting all my books muddled in my head right now. But this one is Friends, Lovers and the Big Terrible Thing by Matthew Perry. This one was very dark. It is narrated by the author, however. We've actually got one. I'm just going to take myself out of the white balance here. We've actually got one that is narrated by the author. He talks about his addiction. He talks about what he was addicted to at various times during his career, including, obviously, the pivotal points around Friends. And he talks about the surgeries he's had and the times he's nearly died and the good and the bad things that's happened to him, and when he's self-sabotaged and when other people have sabotaged him. And so it was quite draining too. It's not a super long book, but it's not a short book. And so it was quite draining. I was listening to this on the way to work and I was like, oh dear, I need to kind of like brighten myself up, ready to face the kids now. But again, I'm glad I listened to it, and it was really great that it was written and narrated by him. However, yeah, it did make me like, oh yeah, we don't know what's going on in people's private lives. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And even though somebody looks like they've got it all, they've got the money, they've got the success, they've got the fame, then they could be really, really struggling with everything else in their lives. And that's really sad, but also it's a fact. And I think him speaking out about it means that hopefully it'll help some other people come forward and get help and realise that they're not the only one. But yeah, that's a kind of bit of a note to end up on, isn't it? Some really great books in here, and I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books in the month of November, so that's not too bad, especially considering 2 of them were like the length of 3 books. So not the 2 of them combined, like each one of them were the length of 3 books. Normally my audiobooks are like 9 or 10 parts. These were 21 parts. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so please do let me know in comments what you read in the month of November. Did you read any NetGalley books? Did you read any non-fiction? Did you read anything in the month of November? Were you just too busy celebrating Thanksgiving? And as well, please do make sure that you are subscribed and hit that notification bell, because I have Vlogmas content coming your way in the month of December. I've done some very Christmassy things already. I have some very Christmassy things coming up, and I have a big trip coming up that I'm going to vlog for you as well. So you're not going to want to miss out on that. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. Everything will be linked in the description box for you, as well as in the end screen coming up right now. And I will see you with my next video very soon. Thanks for watching.